Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea, Ohio. It's a gorgeous December night. It feels just like you'd hope for early December, and thankfully we don't have too much snow outside here so far this year. Life has been good to us in Berea, and we are glad to be with you on what is finals week for Baldwin-Wallace students. The Yellow Jackets have had an awesome first semester of the 2021-2022 school year, and we've got a couple of great guests on tonight to talk to you about some of the great success here recently in Yellow Jacket athletics. I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be with you for roughly an hour throughout the course of the night. Have a chance to chat with our men's and women's swimming and diving coach, Laura Demaline, who's done a really, really good job. It'll be our first chance to talk with her since sort of the season preview look we had with her roughly a month ago. We'll talk with Dr. Charles Campisi, who, in my opinion, runs one of the coolest programs at any university anywhere in America. The sport management program at Baldwin-Wallace is awesome. The number of opportunities that BW students get access to, I'm not kidding. If you're not familiar with it, things like the Super Bowl, the Final Four, March Madness, the NCAA Championship, I mean, right on down the line. It's pretty darn impressive, the different things that BW students in that program get a chance to participate in. So we will talk with Dr. Campisi about all the great things that they've had both recently and the things that they've got coming up. And then we'll visit with Dr. Steve. I just made Steve Thompson, our athletic director, a doctor. I just gave him a PhD. He's in his first year here at BW. He's such a good guy, and he's had a great impact on Yellow Jacket athletics so far this year. And we're coming off of our first ever BW annual, we hope it'll be annual, Day of Giving, in which the athletic department certainly very much touched by and appreciated your donations and your efforts to help boost up Yellow Jacket athletics. So we'll talk with him about all that and some of the big things coming up. That's the game plan for the show tonight in the Athletics Roadshow here at Mike's Bar and Grill. In the meantime, we'll get you caught up on just a handful of the events that happened since we had our show last week on Monday. This was a pretty quiet week for the Yellow Jackets, and frankly, you know, this time of year is always a little bit quiet. A lot of the teams that have, started their seasons perhaps outside of OAC play maybe have a holiday tournament or something to that effect. And then usually there's a little bit of a layoff here right around the time where the students are in finals. This is finals week at BW, so can't believe it, but the fall semester is just a couple days from being over. And then we'll be officially in winter break for about a month. The spring semester will commence on Monday, January 10th. But in the meantime, we did have a wrestling match on Tuesday this past week, and a pretty decisive win for the Yellow Jackets over Otterbein, 37-6, in a match down in Westerville, where the number 5 nationally ranked Yellow Jackets, out of the 10 different matches, they took 9 of them, only losing at 184 pounds. Johnny Novak, Jaden Hinton, Zach Anderson, Michael Petrella, Stanley Blake, Dalton Leitner, Griffin Rathburn, Doug Byrne, and Jared Miller all took home victories last week on Tuesday. Dalton Leitner continues a pretty darn good campaign. He is the number 3 ranked 165-pound wrestler in Division III, and Doug Byrne, number 10 nationally ranked at 197 pounds. So a 37-6 final score in the Yellow Jackets on the team side. Let's look through real quick. There were no pins, but we did have a couple of major decisions. Byrne at 197, and Zach Anderson had a major decision at 141 pounds. So congratulations to all those guys on nice showings, and the Yellow Jacket wrestling team continues a very strong start to the season. They opened the year 4th out of 11 very good teams up at Ithaca, New York. They had an unscored meet against Trine back in early November, but they won their first conference dual meet with Mount Union. They took first place out of 8 teams in the BW Invitational hosted just before the Thanksgiving holiday. And then, of course, the matchup with Otterbein that took place last Tuesday. Those guys will compete again on the road. They'll be at North Central out in Naperville, Illinois, and that'll happen on Saturday this upcoming week. So we'll certainly give you some updates when we can along the way from Saturday. So that was Tuesday this past week. On Wednesday, we had a couple of basketball games, and Unfortunately, one game went kind of poorly. The other game went really well. We'll start with a game that went very well. The Yellow Jacket ladies with a 73-49 win over Heidelberg. So that moved the Yellow Jacket women's basketball team all the way up now to 5-1 on the season. That game was on the road. In fact, they had 2 road games this week. Yellow Jackets in that game led by Lily Edwards, 8 of 13 from the floor. Really impressive double-double for her. She had 18 points and 10 rebounds. Megan Hensel also a double-double in that game, 15 and 10. She played quite well. The Yellow Jackets shot 50% for the game, 30 of 60. They didn't shoot it great from behind the three-point line, 7 of 24, but did a really good job of capitalizing off of Heidelberg mistakes. 22 Heidelberg turnovers. The Yellow Jackets turned many of those into baskets on the other end. And at the same token, the Jackets only had 14 turnovers of their own and certainly played well throughout that one. So I would say Lily Edwards and Megan Hensel get the special nod. 10 points off the bench from Kaylee Ressler and from Emily Irwin. They both had 10 in their minutes. So the Yellow Jackets with a 73-49 win on the ladies' side. On the men's side, it didn't go quite as well in a home contest against those Student Princes. Final score was 92-59. Heidelberg shot really, really well from deep. They hit 13 three-pointers, and for whatever reason, the Yellow Jackets just couldn't quite get it going. They only had 3 of 16 threes in that game and shot just 39% from the floor. Anthony Mazzio had 15 points to lead the way, 10 for Drew Wennis. But unfortunately, the rest of the Jackets just had some trouble really getting things kind of back on the note they usually do. Christian Pfeiffer, only 3 points in 23 minutes. That's certainly unlike him. Jake Snyder had 5 points as the team's point guard. 29 minutes of action. You certainly like what you get from him when he's out running the point, but I think the Jackets were hoping for a bit more offensively there. Got 7 points off the bench from Ashton Price. Rob Watson III contributed 6 points, but just on the whole, the Jackets just for whatever reason didn't do a great job scoring the ball. Minus 10 on the glass, 47-37. They were out-rebounded in that game, and only 9 made bucket, or I should say only 9 assists on 25 made baskets. So I would certainly anticipate that a 17 turnover, 9 assist performance is not the kind of thing that Tom Heil and Brian Schmidt's teams typically make a habit of. Look for those Jackets to put that one behind them quickly. And frankly, they did, because on Saturday we saw some competition with the Yellow Jackets and the Wilmington Quakers, both on the men's and women's side. And I give them a lot of credit for a nice response. On the men's side, 78-66, the final score in that game. Some final numbers for you. If we can get that to load up. There we go. 29 points from Drew Wennis on Saturday, 22 from Jake Snyder. Jackets were much better, hitting 11 threes, and they took significantly better care of the basketball in that game, and their pressure really bothered Wilmington as well. They only allowed Jeffrey Mansfield to score 18 points, most of which were from the free throw line. Mansfield typically is a pretty high efficiency guy from the floor, but just 5 of 13 from the field. And Bryce Bird, who comes off the bench and played 30 minutes, is only 3 of 11 shooting for Wilmington. So the Jackets did a nice job defending them, and they responded with that 78-66 win. So the men's basketball team now up to 5-2 on the season. They also had an earlier season loss to number 7 nationally ranked Trine in a very close game, 72-70. The Jackets have beaten Hiram, LaRoche, Hamilton, Penn State Behrend, and now the Wilmington Quakers. On the women's side, they also played against Wilmington on Saturday and came up with a very nice win, 87-59. It's a third straight win for the women, and that moves them now to 5-1 on the season. Their only loss is to number 1 nationally ranked Hope, 83-55. We've got some action coming up for the women on Sunday this week against the Marietta Pioneers. Jackets were led on Saturday by Lily Edwards. She had 24 points on 9 of 17 from the floor, and they got 12 points off the bench from Carolyn Wokeley in her 17 minutes of action. Let's see, 9 points from Emily Lyon off the bench, 8 from Izzy Andrews, who also performed well, The Jackets put up a nice 87 points, scored quite a few of those in the first couple of quarters. So well done by the Yellow Jacket ladies basketball team, number 21 in the country. And that'll make us turn our attention to the men's and women's swimming and diving programs, where this past weekend against Hiram, the Yellow Jacket men put up a really nice performance, beating Hiram 166-45. And on the women's side, the Yellow Jacket ladies had a 153-46 victory. And since we are talking swimming, we'll bring on head coach Laura Demaline of our women's and men's swimming and diving team. She joins the show live tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Why don't we start with this past weekend? You know, another really good performance, and it feels like on both sides, things are really clicking nicely.
Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, our men's team is at 7-1 now. Our women's team is at 8-1. So we had a really great start to this first half of the season. At the Oberlin Invitational 3 weekends ago, we ended up third for both the men's and women's program, which was the highest finish for our team at that meet. So we were really excited with how they performed on a very short rest. We didn't lift that week, and we laid off of their legs for a little bit. So the fact that they got up and swam as well as they did, we had 100% season best times. I think the last time I counted, it was about 32 lifetime best times.
Holy smokes.
And 24 swims or diving performances moved onto or up on the top 10 performances for the program. So to do that this early in the season was really exciting.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. I guess this is a crazy time of year because you're juggling, trying to keep momentum going into a little bit of a layoff from the competition perspective.
Correct.
Plus the holidays, right? You've got Thanksgiving, you've got Christmas, you've got finals. There's a lot on your plate to manage right now. I don't want to ask you something as blanket as how do you do it, but what are the unique challenges of going through this part of the schedule?
Yeah, so now that we're not racing every weekend, we will be able to actually start to climb in our yardage. We've made an adjustment starting a week ago where we are lifting 3 times a week now instead of 2. So in swimming, similar to cross country, we start to build that yardage as we're trying to broaden the base. So this is really that time where we get to put the work in because we're not racing every weekend. So I'm sure a few of the swimmers are cringing while they listen to this because they know what's coming. But it's a gradual climb, so just to try and limit injury and make sure that we're really preparing them for the second half of the year.
I remember, what felt like maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago as we kind of previewed the season. And you shared a lot of your thoughts on what you kind of hoped things would look like. Obviously, from a team record perspective, things are going well. But
sure.
in terms of the individual growth, I realize the lifetime bests are there. The career bests are continuing to come in. What has surprised you about the way that this has gone as well as it has?
I honestly think, Brendan, as a team grows as quickly as ours did this past year, bringing in a freshman class of 29, so you really, every single year you are trying to build and grow and maintain your culture. And when you double your team, that is something that as a coaching staff we needed to really, really make sure we were kind of keeping a pulse on. I mentioned a few weeks ago when we were here that I was really excited about our leadership, and I think we've seen those strong leaders sort of bring the freshmen along with them, and we have such an incredible personality on our team right now that, I think part of the success of the program is coming because of how well we are doing culturally right now. We say all the time, we love how much you guys love each other. But our team has taken on a team-first mentality. It's been our motto the entire season. A couple weeks ago, it took on new meaning. The swimmers and divers will know what that means. But it's something that truly has bonded our team, and I think that it's turning the season into a very, very special season.
What are your impressions so far of what you've seen around the OAC?
So all of the programs now have swam in their mid-season invite meet. So what is kind of exciting is that you're seeing representatives from all 5 schools in the top 10 times. You're seeing a lot of depth from some of the programs, and so I think it's going to make for a really exciting OAC meet. There's been a couple upsets in dual meets already this fall, so it sort of is, again, as we're all building through this time of the year with our eyes on the OAC Championship in February and preparing for that taper meet. It's pretty exciting because I think that at this point it's really anybody's meet, and that sounds like a very big proclamation to make. I totally understand that, but the conference has come so far that it's really exciting to see how well everybody's racing right now.
Well, and isn't that cool? I mean, you think about a lot of the different sports in the OAC. Many of them have at least one school that seems to kind of set the bar. But I really believe that for the last 7 to 10 years, it feels like the conference as a whole has gotten so much better because you get a pretty good look at what it takes to compete at a high national level. Most of the time, in most sports in this league, somebody is making a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Yep. And that's even been the case in swimming. You've seen teams that have sent lots of swimmers to the national meet. So you get a very first-person look at, hey, if you want to get to nationals, this is what you got to be.
This is where you need to place. This is where you need to be.
Yeah, it feels tangible, right? It's not this far-off thought that you can't identify with. And I would argue that with the growth you've seen over these last couple of years, that it's positively impacting your group.
100%. And I think it's something where when we are talking to our recruits and when we're talking to our current swimmers specifically, we're talking about swimming into March, and it's not something that is a pipe dream. It's actually a plan. This is what we're looking for. This is what we think it's going to take. So at the mid-season meet, this is where you need to be. At the end of January, this is where you need to be, and that's really an exciting position to be in. And I think I share that excitement with the other head coaches in our conference because we are seeing our conference become more relevant on the national stage.
Laura Demaline, our guest, the men's and women's swimming and diving coach at BW. Obviously, this is a fun time of year because your next trip is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
It's one that you love. It's one that your staff loves. I know that the student athletes love it. For those of us who don't get to go to Florida with you, give us an idea what that training trip is like, not just from the in-the-pool perspective, but also from how important this time of year is for your team in terms of continuing to build that culture.
Yeah, so for our juniors and seniors, they have experienced a Florida training trip. Our sophomores were not able to last year, and now we have this large group of freshmen that have not yet. So the majority of our team has not been down there. So a lot of this week is just preparing them for what the week will bring. Yes, it's in Florida, so I am not complaining at all, and we know how lucky we are. But they work incredibly hard while they're there. So we typically have 3 training sessions a day. So, our saying when we're down there is eat, swim, sleep, beach, repeat. And so it's just kind of that cycle. The people at the condominium association joke that we're in bed before the retirees are. They said, yeah, it's, they're working hard. They're up early.
It's because we're up at 4:30.
Yeah, we're on the beach at 7 a.m. doing dry land. So which dry land, for those of you that are wondering, is working out on dry land for swimmers. But it's something where we're there for the entire week. And for a lot of them, it is the first time in their lives they get to just be an athlete. So many of our athletes at BW are juggling not only a strict course load, but also a job and families and friends and community organizations, sometimes Greek life. And so to be able to get them there and train in the facility we train in and get to just be a swimmer or just be a diver for a week is really special. and we get to stand up on the pool deck and enjoy it. So I know they work incredibly hard, and not being able to go last year was something we noticed that, we had missed out on. So to be able to go back and to have the support of the university to go back there this year, we're really excited.
Roughly halfway through the season, obviously you've got the meet when you're down in Sarasota. You've got 4 meets scheduled in January, and then the OAC Championships coming up in February, with the obvious exception of trying to get everybody swimming at their best come championship season time. Is there something in particular that you are most looking forward to seeing in this second half of the year?
So one of the things that I've always, as I got into coaching, and this is not some super fancy secret to swimming, but I've always been able to tell that our swimmers are ready to begin that taper, begin that descend in yardage and effort when they start to swim fast tired. So when we're really kicking their butts all week long and they're saying, oh, coach, we're sore, but then on the weekend they still get up and swim fast, that's really exciting, because I think it helps build their confidence. We're seeing they start to understand their potential, and then they get to rest. So it's sort of, now that we're in the second half, they know that these next 6 weeks or so are going to be pretty challenging. There's not really any other way to say it. They know. One of our seniors, Kayla, she's a distance swimmer, and she always says, Coach, I've accepted my lot in life. So I think that they have all accepted what these next 6 weeks are going to be, but sort of especially coming off of the Overland Invitational and how incredibly they swam and dove. We have a freshman diver that's already qualified for the NCAA regional meet. I mean, that's
cool.
Just awesome, right? So to sort of see where they were, and to know that if they put this work in, this end goal is waiting for them, it's really, really neat.
What's the? I guess we'll wrap up with this one. What's the most challenging or nervous part for you during this stretch of time where you've put so much time and effort in as a student athlete, while they're, for lack of a better way to say it, like really under your control? Mm-hmm. And then after your training trip, you don't spend as much time with them for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
They're home for the holidays. They're with their families. They're at holiday parties. The dedication that it takes to compete at a high level, to make sure you keep eating and drinking the right things and not let go of your training regimen. What is most difficult or most nerve-wracking as a head coach during that kind of time?
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So that's a great question, Brendan. And I think what it is coming off of the Florida trip, they're feeling pretty good. Sure. They're in great shape. They've worked really hard. And as they start to see their goals taking shape, I think it sends them home hungry and ready to keep going. So we try to make sure that what we send them home with is a realistic plan. So, I'm not saying that you need to go home and swim 3 times a day. Like, right. That's not realistic. So we send them home with a realistic plan. We talk about goals in Florida, that where do you want to be when you come back? So what do you need to continue doing so that when we return on January 3rd, you're ready to hit the ground running? I think that as a coach, it's not something that you necessarily get nervous or worry about, because I know that they're a good group and I know they're going to make the right decision, talking to all of you. But it's something where one of the things that we're going to start to discuss with them over these next few weeks is that winning isn't normal.
Right.
Winning is not something that everyone should expect, and it's not something that everybody gets to enjoy. Winning is special. So if we want to experience that, if we want to win, we have to go above and beyond. We can't just be mediocre. We can't just do what's easy. We have to take those steps, and we have to be abnormal. And so that's the message we'll send them home with, and welcome them back on January 3rd, ready to start working.
Well, it is so obvious that your group is having fun, and it's great to see the success. I'm so happy for you and for your staff and for your kids, and
Thanks,
wish you
Brendan.
all the best over the next next 6 weeks in particular as you mentally stay locked in and then jump back in the pool in January.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. Great to see you, too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Laura Demaline, our head coach of the men's and women's swimming and diving teams here at BW. All right. And with that, we're going to bring on Dr. Campisi. Dr. Charles Campisi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Apparently, I had to move my iced tea.
Your lemonade? I'm going to pull the microphone a little bit away from me here because we're a little too hot. There we go. All right.
I'm too hot already.
Look, I have been a vocal proponent of Dr. Campisi's and of this program for a long time. For folks that don't know much about the sport management program at BW, you are missing truly one of the hidden gems, frankly, not just in Northeast Ohio, but anywhere in the country. If working in sports media is, or sports management in general, is anything that you aspire to, the opportunities that your kids get are wicked cool. And I give you so much credit for building something really special here.
I appreciate that. I mean, we've done a lot of work over the past few years to try to make those opportunities available for our students, and I think the way we look at it is, myself, Professor Tony Dick, Dr. Dale Sheptak, and Dr. Andy Lyons, some great faculty with great backgrounds. If we get excited about these opportunities, we know that 18 to 22-year-old kids that, haven't worked at Division I athletic departments or haven't been head coaches in intercollegiate athletics or haven't worked for NFL teams, they're going to get excited about those opportunities. So when you have the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, or the College Football Playoff National Championship, or the Kentucky Derby, or Formula One race, or any of the other kind of opportunities that we offer, that's what we try to do. There's the great opportunities here in Cleveland, right? Baldwin Wallace, our athletic department, does a great job, Jeff and Steve, and previously Chris Diaz, of providing opportunities for our students locally, and then taking advantage of the Browns, the Cavs, the Indians, the Monsters, I don't know what, IMG has a headquarters here, NACDA, the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics, the MAC Conference, which we have actually a partnership with, which they just we get their internship every year, so they don't even post it. It's just, here you go, guys. Send us 5 students, and we'll pick the one we like best. So, no, there's some great opportunities here. The Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, the NBA All-Star Game's coming here. So we try to make sure our students are as well prepared from that professional standpoint as they can be. And that's what we really enjoy. That experiential component of our industry, it's huge. I mean, you've worked with many of our students in press boxes over the years, and they get a lot of opportunities. Jeff lets them do a lot of things that, having worked in a sports information department in Division I collegiate athletic department, you're not going to get in those athletic departments because there's full-time people doing those jobs. You're not just running quotes here and transcribing. Like, you're writing game stories. You're keeping stats. You're running the video board. I mean, imagine, and we use the same system as the Browns, as the Buckeyes, right? So, yeah, okay, we don't have the scope and scale.
Sure.
But you learn the mechanics of it just as well because you don't even get to do it. If you went to Ohio State or the Cleveland Browns, obviously you wouldn't be getting your degree with the Browns. So if you went to Ohio State, you say, can I run your video board for a game? They'd be like, where's the insane asylum that we can put this kid in? If you come to BW, I have the press box key on my key ring right now. I will run you up there, and we will train you up on that thing, and you could be running it. And that's the benefit of, being at a smaller school to a certain extent. And that's what we pride our program on is getting that experience.
I can certainly attest to that. I've seen it. I've experienced those kinds of things. And, the biggest thing that stands out to me is how important the relationship building aspect is, because it's one thing to be an undergraduate student who wants to pursue a career in sports and think, okay, I've got all this experience and future employer, here's my resume, here's all the different things I've done. Like, that's fine, and that's a great start. But if you don't put in the time and effort in building the relationships that are going to last well beyond when you're just a 4-year student, in undergrad, you can't expect that you're going to get your career going if you don't do that. And I think that's why that's one of the things to me that sets this program apart. It's not just the opportunities. It's the fact that the focus is on guys. You need to understand this is about people as much as it is about a skill set.
Yeah, so when we go to those trips, I mean, what a lot of things that people don't understand is we're meeting with folks from those organizations and industries. So when we went down to the last Super Bowl that we were able to travel to as a large unit was Miami. We met with folks from the Hurricanes and took a tour of their facilities. We met with folks from the Heat and toured their facilities and went to a game. So you're meeting people in industry, and it's not just in Cleveland. Obviously, we can bring a lot of the people here in Cleveland into the classroom, and we do have some of those folks teaching our classes. So they're directly teaching our students. So that's part of the benefit. Professor Dick will always say your network is your net worth. And I always say who you know gets you in the door, what you know gets you up the ladder. And those are the things that you have to understand. It is you have to know your stuff, because if you don't know your stuff, it doesn't matter who you know.
Sure.
But who you know is going to – those are the people in the organization that when you're applying for that entry-level position, they're going to have your back. They're going to be like, hey, man, I met this kid. I've talked to him or I've talked to her, and he or she is somebody we want on our team. And then boom, and then that's how your career takes off.
And I would argue even a step further, it's not just about who you know, it's how well you know.
Yeah. Who knows you?
Yeah,
who knows you?
well,
yeah,
exactly.
that's the flip side of it.
Because so many people at the age of a lot of these college students, a lot of them don't understand that when you're asking somebody to be a recommendation for you in a job, if you're asking them to put their neck on the line for you, they're staking their reputation on you.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's for an entry-level position or not.
Yep.
If someone is recommending you, they are saying, hey, on my character, I think that person would be good at that job, right? If you haven't invested time and energy into building a relationship with that person well ahead of time before you could ever possibly need something, then you can't expect them to feel comfortable just putting you in front of somebody. And those are the things that, with all of these kinds of opportunities and with the understanding of what it takes to get things going in your career, I just think that's the most important part about this program.
It is. I mean, I think it's the most important part of any program, and it's something we really preach. Like you said, I mean, we go down, obviously, due to it being Coach K's final season and some of the protocols on the Duke University campus. We usually go down there, every year to visit with those folks, and that's what we have. A different types of trips. We have two different kinds. We have the experiential trips, which I talked about, where we go and we work somewhere. And while we're there, we try to meet with as many people as we can, but the core of that trip is to get the working experience. And then we have what we call exploratory trips, where we go to certain places and we're not working. We're going specifically to attend an event and then network with folks. So we've been able to go down to Duke for several years, meet with their athletic department officials. 1 year, Nina King, who's now their new AD,
yep.
She was part of the panel that Mitch, his daughter, went here. So I'm going to say this. Mitch is an OU alum. And so if you know anything about sport management, OU's got a pretty high status.
Yes, they do.
I'm not gonna deny that, right?
We absolutely do.
We don't bag on our competitors here. But Mitch sent his daughter to BW, and he said, "There's not a program in the nation that does more at the undergraduate level than Baldwin Wallace." He's like, "That's why Emily's going here."
Yeah.
And so he welcomed us in with open arms, puts together amazing panels every year for us. And he's the CFO in their athletic department, so he's on that panel every year as well. And he comes into my sport finance class every year. So shout out to Mitch Moser at Duke University. And that trip allows students to see different levels of the collegiate athletic department, right? We know we're Division III. We don't necessarily have the staff. I tell people when I was at the University of Miami down in Florida, we had more people just in our sports information department than we have full-time non-coaches in our entire athletic department at BW.
Yep.
So they don't necessarily understand the scope and the scale. So they get to see that. And then we get to go to a basketball game in Cameron. I mean, that's bucket list.
Pretty darn cool.
And we're down in with the Cameron Crazies. So that's pretty cool. The 1 year we didn't go to an actual game, unfortunately, we had to settle for the Countdown to Craziness, which was their blue and white scrimmage. And it just happened to be the year that J.R. Barrett, Cam Reddish, and then some guy, Zion Williamson, maybe you've heard of him. It was the first time they took the court in front of fans in their Duke unis, and their fireworks going off, and it was awesome. So, you know, it's great going down there and being there for a game. Going down for the Countdown to Craziness was a pretty good
cool.
Substitute. And anytime you can just get into Cameron, it's just a beautiful facility, and it's just so intimate, and it's awesome. But that's part of it, is that exploratory piece. We're just learning about things that you might not know about yet. When you're an 18-year-old kid, because I was that 18-year-old kid at some point, if it wasn't the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, or Power 5 Division I collegiate athletics, it wasn't sport. Well, we try to preach to our students as well that those are great. There's all this other stuff that exists as well. And, you know, so when we meet with folks from Under Armour, when we meet with folks from Gatorade, we meet with folks from Nike or from Legends, you know, we tell them, hey, guess what? All those folks, that's not part of those first 5 things that we talked about. Would you take a job and go work for Nike right now? Or would you go work for the LPGA Tour right now? And they're all like, yeah, why wouldn't I? I'm like, okay,
exactly.
Then hey, let's expand your mind to what those opportunities are. You know, we have folks, you know, one of our students just finished her law degree. She's now the VP for Business and Legal Affairs for Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. So they just represent some guy, maybe you've heard of him, Patrick Mahomes.
Speaking of Juliana?
Yeah, speaking of Juliana Rubin. So shout out. We were just talking about that photo from when we were on the field from the national championship game there in 2017 when it was Alabama versus Clemson, and thankfully Clemson won that year. Nick Saban's got enough, man. Not that Dabo doesn't have enough now too, but at that point Dabo didn't have any. And you know, the folks in the photo that were on the front page of Yahoo Sports and the Kansas City Star. We got Ryan Swingle, who's coaching at Cornell, and Ryan Sosick, who's now an SID at Wake Forest, Cole Horan, who's now in ticket sales with the Tennessee Titans, Ty Ramsire, who's working for the Cavs here in ticket sales as well, Ruben, who I just mentioned, Mackenzie Nelson, who's running the Stroh Center up there at Bowling Green, their ice hockey venue for the cool men's and
venue.
Women. Yeah, sweet venue.
Cool.
And as a northern guy and a hockey guy, like, college hockey's awesome.
It really is.
Yeah, as a guy who did his PhD at the University of Minnesota, going to Mariucci Arena, man, for some college hockey. I miss it. I miss it a lot. And then Rachel Montanari's in that photo, and she just got, you know, full time with the Indians. Still doing graduated here and is now doing her master's degree here and working full time for the Indians or the Guardians. Sorry. Correcting myself here. The Cleveland Guardians.
It's a habit we all need to break.
Yeah, and so I mean that's just one photo of folks, and our students are making a difference, and that's a tribute to them, right? We provide the opportunities, but we can't make them take advantage of them.
Sure.
And we can't make them excel in them. Right, we can provide the content and the courses, but they got to be committed to those courses, to learning the material, and then they have to be committed to doing the work once they get in those spaces. And that's a tribute to our institution and the recruiting that we do, not just from our department, but our admissions department and the standard that folks set long before we got here for Baldwin Wallace University. And we're bringing in some great kids, and they're doing some great things. And that's what makes it excited to come to work every day, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm like busting out here, and I could go on and talk about this stuff all day. It's what gets me excited when our students excel and do great things. I can't get any more excited than when I get excited about that. I feel like it's like when my daughters achieve something, you know, and I get super excited, like I'm fired up for them, right? And that's what it is I'm fired up for our kids. We try to provide as many and as great opportunities as we can. And our athletic department, like I said, Jeff Miller and Steve do a great job of allowing our students to take ownership of some things and to provide them opportunities for growth. And our students take advantage of them, and it's been showing. And so we love it, man.
Absolutely. Dr. Chuck Campisi, our guest. I appreciate and feel and enjoy your energy, and I know what drives you because it's so obvious that watching these students succeed means a lot to you. In your recruiting efforts, when you're talking to high school kids that maybe don't really know much about the direction they want to go, They're just excited by the potential to have a school-sponsored trip to the Super Bowl or to to the CFP or to March Madness or, right on down the line because they think that's something that invigorates them. How much do you lean on your program's alums to kind of, convince those kids, hey, this is the right kind of place. Look what it did for me.
We reach out to our alums on special occasions if a student, because the challenge with a lot of recruits when you're 18 years old, man or woman, boy or girl, however you want to say it, you don't really know necessarily what's out there. So for those students that do have a really
You didn't know what you want to do at 18 years old?
I don't know what I want to do, and I'm 44, so I'm kind of SOL. But for those kids, it's more about just telling them the opportunities that we have and then sharing with them. I have a whole list of articles that highlight where our different alumni are. So we got Stevie Spencer doing travel and logistics for the 49ers. We got Brian Hill doing scouting for the Rams, right? We got some of the other folks that I mentioned earlier. And so you let them know where everybody is. And then, hey, is there somebody you want to talk to? So we do that in terms of, hey, here's a list. Let us know if there's somebody you want to reach out to. And when they do, our alums come through. And it's a great opportunity. And what the other thing that we try to share is, so I mentioned our faculty as well. Well, Tony Dick spent 20 years with the Browns. Right? So he knows everybody in that building. He was with them before they left.
I think he opens and closes the press box every Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not. Having been with him this season in that press box, I'm guaranteeing I know he does. I don't know if we close it. It depends on how quickly we can get the Scantrons off. But yeah, he knows everybody, and you can't. The thing about that is if you walk into the press box with him, you might as well just go do what you're going to do because he's going to have to stop to talk to every single person because everybody's going to be like, Tony. So, he's got that experience with him, right? So Dr. Sheptak, right, was a head coach at Division II, collegiate level, has, been a dean of a school, right? The guy knows how intercollegiate athletics works. He knows he was a, associate AD as well. He knows how it's done at the collegiate level from all sides of things. Dr. Andy Lyons, All-American in track as a student athlete at Florida State. So
pretty
good athlete, right? and she still coaches here locally. She still helps out the middle school and the high school. So she's amazing with that. And then she spent years coaching track, both at Mississippi State and Florida State, and then moved into an academic department as an academic advisor at Florida State as well, and then, pursued her PhD and became a faculty member. So, you got faculty members that know what they're talking about, and it's not somebody that went bachelor's, master's, PhD, and I have never actually done it in the real world and made my dollars this way. These are folks that made their dollars this way, and you talk to students about that, and you say, hey, talk to your other faculty at other institutions and let us know where they've been and what they've done. And, we just did a consulting project last year with a facility development project, just our faculty, so there's opportunities there as well where, we're still engaged in the industry. We're not just kind of, we're going to coast back here. We're engaged in it every single day, and that's the part of it that we love. And then, our alumni, man, when we reach out and we say, hey, I got a kid that's thinking about being an agent, or we got a kid that's thinks they want to be an event manager, or we got a kid that thinks they want to be in ticket sales, and we say, hey, reach out to Cole, or reach out to Juliana, or reach out to Mackenzie, or we got a kid that wants to be a coach, reach out to Cheryl Bell or something like that. They come through, and they as soon as that kid reaches out, I get a text message, hey, so and so just reached out to me. I'm going to hit them back. All right, great. And that's what you love to see because they have a passion for our program, and we love that support from them. And we try to provide it for the 4 years that they're here, try to give as much love as we can, and then when they're gone, we still try to give it. It's a little harder because they're they're a little more remote. But when we travel, when we go to Super Bowls and stuff, we still have, if there's an alum in the area, we reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to be a part of our group that when we're going out there? Do you want to work game day with us? Or, hey, do you want to come and talk to the students at X, Y, and Z venue during the day? And it happens all the time. So we're heading out to L.A., kind of hoping that the Rams are going to be in it from an NFC side because one of our alums, Brian Hill, is is with the team. It doesn't look like Spence at the 49ers is going to have as good a shot. So we were a little disappointed when Kansas City beat him a couple years ago. We were hoping he was going to get his ring. So hopefully we can meet out with Brian when we're out there. But we also have BW alum. That's the payroll manager for the Los Angeles Lakers. Maybe people have heard of that organization. And the VP for booking for the Staples Center. Well, now Bitcoin.com or whatever, Crypto.com.
Yeah.
I think it's official like December 16th. So I think I got a couple days with Staples Center. And the Microsoft Theater out there as well. So she does all of that. Hallie Yavich, she's going to meet up with our students. As soon as that was named, she was like, hey, when are you guys coming out? I'm setting something up. One of our faculty members and a BW alum, Alec Palmer, just took a job. He's an adjunct guy. He just took a job with the LA Kings. So we're going to make sure we meet up.
Social media.
Oh, man. This dude is amazing, right?
Content creation is off the charts good.
And so, the opportunity for us to just meet up with those guys while we're out there, that's part of the benefit. And you can show students, hey, when we went down to Tampa, one of our alums, we had multiple alums at the IMG Academy. One of our alums right now is the associate athletic director for that whole IMG Academy space. And having worked there before, if you've never been down there, it's amazing. And then, another one of our alums, Evan Helgeson, ran the security for Raymond James Stadium for us and was one of the reasons we were on the field. So we take advantage of those opportunities, and we love to connect with our alums when we're doing these special things for our students. And, when we were down in Austin, unfortunately, one of our alums is the head SID at the University of Texas, but we didn't get to touch base because our work schedule for the Formula One race was it was insane.
Awfully tough.
When you got I think it was 130,000 people there on race day and over 300,000 for the 3 days of the event. We were busy. We were busy a little bit. So we didn't get necessarily to pop over, but some of those opportunities, we try our best to take advantage of them.
Let's wrap with just the easiest way to get a hold of you for folks that are interested in learning more about the program that may want to connect for one reason or another. What's the easiest way to reach out to you?
The easiest way, probably, you can get me on my email. It's probably the best way. It's C, first name is Charles, right? So C, and then Campisi, Camp, ISI. So CCAMPISI at bw.edu. That's probably the easiest way. You can also hit us up if you want on social media at BWSPM HTM. So sport management and hospitality and tourism. Also in that space, the overlap is huge. So you can get me on Instagram or Twitter there. I help run those accounts, so I check them regularly. So if you're, I don't do the TikTok, so I'm sorry.
I don't blame you.
I'm sorry.
It's a
Everybody
space I don't
else.
want to be
Yeah, me neither. So, that email, I'd say I can get my cell phone out if you really want it.
It's okay.
But,
email is just fine. We don't need you to blast
or you
your
can
cell
just,
number to the
or you
world.
can just Google Ball and Wallace Sport Management, and all of my information will pop up. It's
great.
definitely on the website. So anybody that's interested, give me a shout. And if you're a alum and you need a new opportunity, hey, man, we're going to help you find it. We're going to help you find it.
We love it. Merry Christmas, and thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for having me.
Dr. Campisi of our terrific Baldwin-Wallace Sport Management Department. Easy to see why it's a pretty cool department and a fun guy to talk to. And for the final couple minutes of the show, we're going to bring on our Director of Athletics, Steve Thompson, who doesn't realize that at the beginning of the show I actually accidentally gave him a PhD. I referred to you as Dr. Steve Thompson for a moment.
I believe somewhere along the lines there has been a honorary doctorate degree.
Doctor of Humane Letters?
Yeah, exactly.
Where'd you get that from, by the way?
I'm going to make it up. I believe the College of Worcester or Kent State. One of those two gave that to me, and I'm going to go ahead and go with it.
We're going to get the research and
I
development
expect
team out
Dr. Thompson from now on.
Well, we've only got a couple minutes left in the show, but I thought it was appropriate to bring you in today and get your thoughts about this incredible fundraising effort, the Day of Giving that we just had this past week. I know how important this was for the department, but I know how impactful and meaningful it was to you in raising such a significant amount of money for all of our programs.
So the hair on the back of my neck just stood up a little bit. Really excited about what we were able to accomplish this past Tuesday. As an institution, right, when it all comes down to, we're all Baldwin-Wallace, raised over $100,000 to better the experience for the students of Baldwin-Wallace. And I can't say enough about that. But selfishly, obviously, I'm going to say a little bit more. We raised over $75,000 for our athletic teams for the Yellow Jackets, and over 384 donors, 385 I think is what we ended up with, donors to BW in the Yellow Jackets athletic programs, let alone over 500 donors to the entire campus. And to see the excitement we were able to create and engage with, and our coaches, I can't say enough about the coaches, and texting. We were in the room at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. on Giving Tuesday, and our coaches are texting former players, alumni, friends of the program, and just saying, hey, just give a little bit, and every little bit helps. And I think people start to forget about that, and all of a sudden, on a day we had where it hasn't happened before at BW, they came out and they gave and they supported these young men and women that are trying to achieve great success, not only in competition but in the classroom and the community. And we raised over $100,000. It's awesome.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
Give us an idea what that money goes towards.
Oh, it's all over the place. It's going to be a better experience for our baseball and softball teams as they go on their spring break trips. Right, our track team, our cross country team had. I'm gonna guess the number. I'm gonna be off by 3 or 4, but they had about 95 donors, track and cross country, and they're gonna get a anti-gravity treadmill, which will give them the chance to train while their lower legs, their ankles, their hips, their knees might be banged up a little bit. They'll still be able to continue to practice and stuff like that, so they're going to be able to get that. There's only 2, 3 maybe programs in the OAC that we're going to get back to that level and be able to compete for championships, but they're going to look into buying one of those. Football is talking about some new uniforms. I can't wait. I love I think Jerry Glanville said it. You look good, feel good, play good, right?
Yeah, right. Of course.
And that's what we're looking for some of these teams. So what that support means for each program is going to be a little bit different. But the great thing about it, it's for the head coach, not Steve, the athletic director, to decide, but the head coach to say, this is how we can spend that money to best improve our program now and in the long term. And some coaches are having great conversations over that.
Awesome. It was such an awesome day, and reinvigorates that feeling of why this is such a special place, knowing that so many alums or fans or family and friends have chosen to support all the initiatives that BW has. So that's obviously the big news of the week.
Yeah, love that news. Love that news of the week.
It's a good one. The other thing I want to ask you just about this time of year and what you most enjoy, wrapping up what I guess is your first semester here, but in general, you've been around college athletics a long time. There's a routine and a rhythm to, you kind of get post-Thanksgiving, and sometimes student athletes want to turn their attention toward the holidays. At Division III, you get a little bit more downtime maybe than at some of the other places that you've been. What do you most enjoy about this time of year?
Oh, man, what a great question that is. I just come back from a great trip with my son and daughter. We went down to Jacksonville for a little bit of time. It's hard to come back when you come back to Cleveland. It was 75 and sunny yesterday where I was, but really the great thing about this, and I look back to my undergrad experience, this is the time when those winter sports can make that decision to bond and be teams that nobody ever forgets about, right? Like the success. I can think back to when I was a basketball player and at a Division III institution I won't talk about. because we just want to talk about BW and go Yellow Jackets. But the experience you can have building those bonds, right? Coach Hilvert, when we talk about football, talked about their experience and the team bonding that happened as they went to Hampton-Sydney early in September. This is the time now for basketball, and you just had Laura on talking about swimming. When they go down to Florida, I can't wait. I'm going to fly down and watch our men's basketball in Fort Lauderdale have two great battles with two Division III kind of powerhouses in basketball. And then I'm going to fly back and celebrate Christmas with my family and Orrville, Ohio, and Smucker's Jelly. Like, we always got to – maybe Smucker's will sponsor us one of these days. But and then fly back down to watch our women's basketball team compete at Naples. I can't wait for that. I love the Division III experience when you get to travel with your best friends, go to an environment that's different, and have a chance to compete for these tournament trophies and such like that. So when you ask me what that's about or what I'm excited about, I'm excited to see our student athletes compete at a high level against some great competition in places that aren't home.
Sure.
Right? Like, we get to go, and we've emailed the folks within 75 miles of Fort Lauderdale. I'm hoping to spend some time with them. And tomorrow an email, spoiler alert, tomorrow an email is going out to all the folks in Naples that hopefully spend a little bit of time with them after Christmas. Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun this time of year, and obviously really excited about all the things that are going on here, both on campus and abroad, and appreciate you stopping in.
No, I appreciate it. Let's talk about this guy though.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna. You probably won't be able to get out of mics when we're done talking about this, but you were just at Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I mean, you've been calling games in the Big Ten, and Brent, I can't appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us, talk about BW athletics, and I love watching what you're doing right now. And there's a few people I'd like to check in on that I've come across that make sure they're keeping an eye on you too. But this is a time to celebrate our friends and our family and those successes. And I've only known you now I came in June. I think we talked in July, if I get that wrong. So I've known you for 5 or 6 months, but I love this. I love the time we can share together, and this is not blowing smoke and people can be turning me off. I don't give it. I don't care. Let's clean it up but I'm just happy. Like, I love to see people succeed in life and what you're doing, man. I love that you're a part of this, but I also love to see the success you're getting right now. So, keep watching and keep watching what we're doing here, but keep an eye on this guy. Right?
I appreciate
God
that.
bless you, man.
Thank you.
God bless you.
I was born and raised 10 minutes down the road, and I am so proud to call Northeast Ohio home. My family's here. My friends are here. I went to school locally, and I've been really lucky to travel a lot and follow and chase my dreams. But I have always kept a special place in my heart for BW, and I know our time together has been short, but for this staff, man, I mean, I have appreciated the way you guys have welcomed me and given me a chance to share your stories and to launch my career, and I'm just glad to be around, and thanks for having me.
Somehow we're going to always keep you tied. When you get too big time for us, man,
ridiculous.
I'm going to drag you down. I'm going to be like that the kid hanging onto your ankle around Christmas, man. You ain't allowed to totally get away from us. I know you're going to do big things, man, and I love it. I'm going to want some of those tickets when you get those comp tickets. I'm going to want to be at those events, but I'm still going to be grabbing your ankles to come back and talk a little BW athletics every once in a while, man.
Oh, love to do it. It's been a lot of fun, and wish you Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, man. I appreciate everything you do.
Thanks, Steve. All right, Steve Thompson, our Director of Athletics, wraps up our show. By the way, we do have a wrestling match on Saturday and a couple basketball games at home on Sunday. Excited about those at 3 and 5 on Sunday afternoon. If you haven't had a chance to see the Yellow Jackets play hoops this year, chances to play Marietta don't come around but once a year, and those are fun ones to watch. So best of luck to those guys on Sunday.
How about this? Just in your honor, you mentioned Brendan Gulick. You can get in free for our men's and women's basketball game on Sunday.
Oh, my God. Too funny. Too funny. Well, let's pack the place, huh?
Let's pack the place. Brendan Gulick.
I love it. I love it. It'll be Marietta's men's basketball team is always one of the best in the country. I believe they've been a top 5 team all year long so far this year, and they've made some deep runs in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 the last 10 years. They are fun. On the women's side, they have been very, very competitive, and obviously the Yellow Jacket ladies, top 25 team in the country, have had a great start to the year, so looking forward to a doubleheader on Sunday. And that, of course, is after the wrestling team competes out at North Central in Naperville, Illinois on Saturday. Meantime, don't miss next Monday's show. We're going to have more fun than we're probably allowed to have next Monday. That's your biggest teaser. Lots of coaches joining us. We're going to have a great time. And what will be our final, I believe, our final episode before the Christmas holiday.
Definitely our final episode, a Christmas special, a Baldwin Wallace University Athletics Yellow Jacket Christmas special.
Can't wait.
You don't have to listen to me. You're going to get to listen to Brendan and a bunch of great coaches. So
it'll be a great time. Looking forward to that very much. Have a great rest of the night, everybody. Thanks for joining us both live and virtually at Mike's Bar and Grill here in Berea. We'll see you real soon. Go Jackets.